vlogging me and vlogging you.
Oh, I know what I got. You know, it's quite chilly up here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got this.
Oh, hip flask. Hip flask.
When in Scotland, what do you do when it's cold out, Paul?
Have a drink.
Get the old hip flask out. Got a bit of... gotta try and open this, hang on a minute. Bit of Deanston's single malt in here.
That should warm the cockles somewhat.
Oh, there you go.
Cheers, mate.
Get that down, yeah. Hope you don't have any kind of cooties or anything.
Not last time I checked. Warms you up, that. No end.
What was the one you had the other day, last night?
Ah, what is it called? I can't remember now. I have to double check when we get back. I can't remember the name of it, but it's nice.
We had some single malt last night and it had a very peaty. It's quite nice, actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't too strong, was it?
No, it was only a 3 year.
3 year, and it was quite smooth.
Yeah.
What do you think of this one?
That's nice.
It's not bad, is it?
It's not overly harsh. Like some of them can be a bit harsh.
Tastes kind of alcohol-y.
Yeah. But that's not bad at all. It's quite warming. So we've just come up to this bit of Caledonian forest, and it's looking a bit gloomy, isn't it?
It is a bit gloomy.
It's a bit gloomy, but it seems to be clearing out from behind us over there. There is some light happening over on the hills in the background.
I think with these trees though, you need directional light.
Yeah, I think
a
so.
little bit of directional light to really separate them from one another.
Yeah, I think so, because it's quite tight knit in here, and it's very flat without any other light going on. And
I absolutely love the colours though. The green, it's kind of has a lot of blue in it. I find
blue tinge. That's
pretty nice.
It's an ancient Caledonian forest that we're trying to photograph. It's absolutely stunning, but it's difficult, isn't it? Well,
especially this is the first time we've been here, so.
Yeah, and thanks to my buddy Dean Allen for giving me this location. It's a fantastic place, really is. Really is. We passed some really nice stuff on the way in, actually, which I think we'll go and check out as well. Maybe go back and have a look at that first thing in the morning.
You mean at the bottom of the hill?
Yeah, at the bottom of the hill that we needn't have climbed up. So we came across this scene here, which I really, really like, but as you can see, it's getting dark and dingy. So I think the plan is to come back in the morning, see if we can get a bit better light on this. Because it's really, really flat in here, and there's absolutely nothing because it's clouded right in. Oh, it's raining. It's raining, and it's going to start raining again. So I think we're going to come back in the morning and see what we can make of this. But really, really nice scene in there. I think it'll work really well. I'm back to my letterboxes again, loving the 16:9, so I think that'll really make this image work. Well, good morning. So we're here at the side of Loch Marie, and what we thought we'd do this morning is we've got some lovely branches leading down into the water's edge here, because the water's really quite high at the minute. So trying to work a few compositions with that, but the problem we've got this morning is because it's quite windy, even using a 10-stop filter, because it's quite windy, the leaves are moving just that bit too much, and it adds quite a nice effect to it, but I'm just not sure about it. So what I think I'll do, we're planning on heading further up the hill later on to try and catch some of those compositions we tried last night, just to see if we can get a bit better light on them. So I have to be completely honest here, I'm really quite struggling. I'm messing around with quite a bit, and I think part of the problem is I really need to change focal length and try and zoom in on some of the branches. I was looking at trying to incorporate some of these roots into the shot so that it kind of leads in. But I think concentrating on that is kind of putting off the branches at the back because there's so much movement going on. So I think maybe just focusing in on a smaller detail will help me isolate the scene a bit better and work on trying to stop the movement of the branch so much rather than trying to get so much into the frame. I think I'll go for a longer lens and try and get right in close and see if I can make that work. I'll pop the image up that I've been working on. You can see why it's not working at all. There's just way too much movement, and sometimes that effect can be quite nice, but for me it's just not working at all. So what I'm actually finding is when I've put a longer lens on, I can actually get closer in, but I'm still having the same issues with movement in the branches. I've slowed the shutter speed down just to about a second now because I was trying to get too long a long exposure. I think that was part of the problem. But even with a second, it's still too much movement in the branches because we're getting waves and it's hitting the branches and rocking them up and down and making them move. And it's just blurring it too much for me. I'd like to kind of try and keep those crisp. I like the texture in the water at about a second. It's still retaining a bit of detail in there. It's not completely smoothing it out. But it's just not keeping enough detail in the branches for me. So after taking a little bit of Adam's advice before and not trying to concentrate on the actual fall foliage and focusing closer in on like root systems and things like that, seems to be working a lot better because there's not as much movement in those, there's not as much to go wrong really. And you can get really tight detail shots in on the roots, and all you've got moving in it is the water around it, which is a huge benefit. As lovely as the fall foliage is, when it's this windy, you just can't, or I can't just make it work at all. So focusing it in on a smaller detail has really helped me here. I really quite like the look of how these shots are turning out. I'm using a 10-stop filter. It's probably around about a 30-second exposure with the way things are going. And it's turning out quite nice, just a really interesting detail shot. If it's turned out, I'll pop that up now. Well, hello again. So we're back up the hill that we were at yesterday evening, and the light's so much better today. There's a bit of a warm glow about it this time, which is really, really nice. Although the weather does seem to be coming in again, but it's still got a really nice warm feeling. So we're going to try taking the same shot as we did last night. This little scene with these gnarly trees, and I think it will really, really work with the right light. Adam's just taking his turn at the minute just to get in the same place, because there seems to be one place that looks best for the composition, because there's a really gnarly, twisty piece of branch that's come down on the biggest tree at the back there, and that makes a really nice part of the scene, really quite interesting. So if you come basically left of that tree, it's hidden behind the smaller tree on the left, and if you go right, you get too much of this bigger pine, which is on the right hand side. So pretty much where he is the best place for this composition, I think. Now what we're actually finding with this scene here is, as well as when the wind's blowing through, we're having to kind of stand around and wait for a decent time to take this shot. It wasn't as windy last night, but today there's a bit more of a breeze, so it's a bit more about just taking time and waiting for the wind to die down before we take a shot.